Four Absolutes of the Oxford Group. Absolute Love, Part 2. My name is Steve Van Eiterstein, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. I am very excited to be digging into this. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed and has been watching the shorts and everything too. They've really picked up some traction lately, and that's really cool to see. Everything ebbs and flows, of course, but this has been pretty cool to see this last week. It seems as though Absolute Love is really resonating with a lot of people as an important principle in general, not just those that wonder what the Oxford Group was. So I'm excited to get into part 2. I will tell you, we're going to have to take this whole chapter slow. I started doing the review, and this is going to be at least 3 parts, most likely 4 parts for Absolute Love, because it seems as though there's just a lot more to explore, or there's so much that's built into it, which makes sense. Like last week, we talked about how absolute love was essential for absolute honesty, absolute purity, absolute unselfishness. So to find that they've packed in so much more, or so much information into this short little chapter, isn't surprising, but it makes it so we have to take everything apart piece by piece to really give it the respect that this absolute love principle deserves. So as much as I'd like to say we're going to be reading a couple pages today, we will not be. We will be reading exactly 1 paragraph. I know that seems ridiculous, but the substance that's contained in this paragraph, the words they use, the things they reference, what they're talking about in just this 1 paragraph is of vital importance. It is a crucial part of this principle and the understanding of this principle, the importance of why it needs to be practiced, and why we have such a problem in today's society with it. It's got a lot of depth for just 1 paragraph. I don't even know. I think it's probably 8 sentences long total, and we're going to be talking about probably every single one or close to it, actually. So let's go ahead and get into it. I am reading from the Absolute Love chapter from the book, What is the Oxford Group, right here. And it was written by a layman with a pen, and just to stay anonymous. So we will go through it, or we will go through this next paragraph, and then we'll have some good discussion about it. I hope you enjoy. So here we go. What is the Oxford Group? Absolute Love, Part 2. By this, said Christ, all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love for one to another. Disciples, members of a fellowship of real equality. Absolute love is not self-negation. It is using the best of ourselves for the best of other people, and in doing so, we realize that the best within us is a positive force for our own good as well as that of others. Many of us do not understand what fellowship means, or that looking for self-motive in other people's good actions is killing the good within ourselves. Many people look for motives in kindnesses that are proffered them. What is he getting out of it? They often think when they have been shown an unexpected generosity, and then the good proffered to them loses its most potent asset. The good Christ gave without thought of return or thanks. The good Christ gave without thought of return or thanks. That's the only paragraph we're going to read. So if you were following along with that, you might understand why that entire paragraph needs its own episode, because it goes from fellowship to the practice of good, to why it's questioned, to how we destroy it. I just can't. I can't believe they put that much in one paragraph. So let's go ahead and we'll dig into it. Excuse me. And we will go from there. So the first line in this paragraph is just fantastic. I think it's actually two sentences that we're going to be talking about. The by this, and then the membership of a fellowship. So, by this said Christ, all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love from one to another. Disciples, members of a fellowship of real equality. So this emphasizes that there's not anything else that makes each other disciples and a fellowship, but the love had for each other, right? There's no qualifications, right? This is there's no divisiveness. There's no camps. There's no us and them. To be a part of this fellowship, you merely have to have love for one another. Now, that's in today's world, that's quite a substantial thing to try to say, because it doesn't seem to be that's the case, right? You have to be this and this and this and this to be loving, to be a part of our group, to be a part of our demographic, to be a part of this. Everyone has their own little pocket that they feel like they need to defend and argue and exclude people from, which is kind of amazing. So the only thing we need to have to be a part of the fellowship of righteousness is really just love for one another. In this context, we're talking about Christian principle, but this really, when you think about it, applies for all types of spiritual and religious and any type of practice. Really, it applies to all of them. This isn't just if you believe the exact same thing I believe, then I will have love for you. It's just love for one another. That's all that's required to really be a part of that fellowship. And that's a pretty big statement. And I wanted to also point out that they said, by this said Christ, all men know that ye are my disciples. It doesn't say other men of the fellowship know ye are my disciples. It doesn't say this certain type of person, this certain person from this place, this certain person that has this belief, right? When you have absolute love within your heart and your soul, and you are practicing it in your thoughts and your words and your actions on a daily basis, all men will know that. All men will see that love within you. They will see that presence of God in your life by the way you practice it, the way you act, the way you behave, the way you engage with them, right? It's something you can actually sense from a person. At least that's been my experience. The practice of absolute love, yes, is something that people can sense in you, regardless of their practiced beliefs. Love is truth, and anyone can sense that, right? The fact of the matter is, many of us have experienced people, though they might be few and far between, which is unfortunate, but many of us, including myself, I have been around people that seem to embody this, peace, this presence, this almost aura around them that you step into, and it has an impact on us. I've been around people that have just their presence has had an impact on me, because they're just truly deeply spiritual people, and I connect with that. I can relate to that. I want to be around that. Honestly, we can almost become instantly more relaxed and let our shoulders drop a little bit breathe a little deeper around this person. It's almost a sense that everything's going to be all right, right? We get the opportunity to not be defensive anymore, to not be insecure around this person, right? That's why these people usually are the center of groups. And usually they don't even necessarily even realize it, but they just show up and people want to be around them. It's not because of the money they have. It's not because of the fame they might have. It's because of the sense of peace and love that is just radiating from a person. This is something that is physically felt. This is something that we can sense. And when we come in contact with it, and we let that defensiveness down and the insecurity down and our shoulders down, it can almost be uncomfortable because we don't know. Usually we're busy defending ourselves or attacking somebody else or making sure we're hiding this or doing that. And when I've run into these types of people, and I aspire and I hope that one day I will be like that for someone else, and I don't have to, and they don't demand me to be different. And I don't feel like I have to be different around them. Because when there's a practice of absolute love, that judgment's just gone. It's disappeared. There's a presence of acceptance. There's this aura of just peace that you step into when someone is practicing these principles. And yeah, it can be uncomfortable. You're not defensive anymore. You're not worried people are going to figure you out. Your insecurities are temporarily not at the front of your mind. And you start to get a little uncomfortable sometimes even. I know I've been that way because I didn't know what it felt like to just be still. And these people that have this absolute love within them, that have this practice of spirituality that runs so deep, you know it without them articulating it, because that's what we're talking about here. When you're around them, it's so rare. And you're able to be present, and you're able to be involved in the conversation. You feel vulnerable. You feel like you can be vulnerable. It's a powerful experience. And this is what we're supposed to hold within us. This is what we're supposed to carry with us. We're supposed to be those individuals that manifested in me that sense of peace within ourselves, that have obtained that sense of serenity within ourselves, that sense of complete and pure absolute love within ourselves that other people can see within us. That's what we're striving to be like, and that's how we would know each other. They're saying that's how we participate in this fellowship, right? This true sense of equality it talks about. That this next line is one that it really needs to be. I'm going to read it again here, or this line that I read there. The members of a fellowship of real equality. That's what so many people try to champion today. That's what so many people try to embody and take on today is creating a community, a country, a household of real and true fellowship. True fellowship, like many have never experienced, and unfortunately many might not. Members of a fellowship of real equality. Right? Because when the only requirement is to hold absolute love in your heart, nothing else matters. Right? In today's world where the people are taking up the cry of equality, and this is this battle they are finding themselves in, they're trying to fix it with this way and that way, with litigation, with any social justice, whatever it might be. There's so many like different political and religious and this and that and blah, da, 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 da. And the answer is right there. If you want to have a truly Society based on true equality, it has to originate from a source of absolute love that we carry within ourselves. That we carry within ourselves for one another. And that has to be the only requirement, because that changes the entire configuration. This is the most true and real sense of equality that we could actually achieve, because this is an equality that's free from all categories, from all labels. This would overcome the division of the race, the religion, the sex, the politics, the everything that we use to divide ourselves today. Absolute love would give us an experience of equality and fellowship with each other that we didn't know was possible. And it would cause systemic change, because individuals would change. And when you have a bunch of individuals that change and are functioning from absolute love, guess what? The structures that they are involved with change. It's a ground up change. And that's what we need. You're not going to be able to fix this from the top down. You're not going to be able to achieve the goals you want to achieve through more government, I don't believe. This is going to have to come from a personal, moral interaction with a spiritual foundation, and having a spiritual experience, having those spiritual awakening to actually feel and have absolute love for your fellow man. And when that happens, guess what? Everything will be different. But that's the only and the truest way, and the most long-lasting way that a true sense of equality can happen, right? There's so much more that would be achieved in our societies, in our businesses, in our economies, in this world, if this was the disposition that everybody took, if this was the place that everybody functioned from, this place of absolute love and this absolute honesty and integrity, and this place of acceptance of other people, and to be able to build a community, right? Because it eradicates selfishness, right? Absolute love bores absolute unselfishness. It bores honesty. It bores purity, right? So when you are practicing absolute love with your fellow man, you will inherently start to practice absolute unselfishness, absolute purity, absolute honesty, amongst other things too. People will start having different thoughts, different actions, different words, different directions, different intuitions. It functions on that truth that all people have an inherent value and worth, and are worthy of dignity and respect, which are loving things. Actually, dignity and respect of other individuals are loving things. And their value is not obtained from the material or the external qualities and characteristics that they might portray. Every human being is a child of God, a part of this universe, part of Mother Nature, whatever you might, spiritual path you might be following. And every human being is worthy of dignity and respect. And if we can remember that, those things are signifying that a person, someone having those beliefs signify a person's coming from a place of absolute love, not judgment and condemnation, but a willingness to love our fellow man, to lift them up, to build them. Build them the best way we know how, and that's from the gifts we're given. And that's what this next line's about, and I absolutely love this next line. So the next thing I wanted to say, it expands on what this means for us to practice absolute love, right? Absolute love is not self-negation. It is using the best of ourselves for the best of other people, and in doing so, we realize the best within us is a positive force for our own good as well as that of others. I love this point we're making here because so many believe this is what we are striving for. This self-negation, this I am nobody, I am nothing, right? So we're trying to remove ourselves from the equation. And this like that, and it leads to that that nobody claim, which is just irresponsibility manifested, right? It's a toxic thing, it's a wrong thing, it's an unhealthy perspective to take, and to view ourselves as nothing is, as much as some people would like to package it up in humility, it's really not. To view ourselves as this nameless, personless individual is not humility, actually. And this is a part of humility that I've found that many people get wrong. And I say that intentionally, and I know that's going to rub some people the wrong way, but it's a crucial part of humility and honoring God to recognize the good within you as well. Right? People, this humility isn't about degrading yourself. It's not about minimizing yourself, any part of yourself. It's about an honest appraisal of you, a full and honest appraisal of yourself. Okay? Now, this is most commonly associated with negative things, right? Like, because that's the things we usually don't want to look at. Right? We don't want to actually, if you're involved in 12-step programs, you don't want to look at your character defects. You don't want to look at your shortcomings. You don't want to look at where you've harmed people. You don't want to look at all of the things that you probably hate about yourself already, right? So in a 12-step perspective, you're trying to root those things out and take an honest look at them, right? That's the humility piece of that. And also, see where your ego and arrogance and pride have shown up, right? So this honest appraisal of yourself is typically associated with looking at the negative, and because we avoid it, and that's sometimes the first thing we have to take a look at. But it has been my experience that we need to take a look in this full and honest appraisal of ourselves, which humility dictates. We need to take a look at what we do well, right? And it is important. It is actually essential to take a look at what we do well. I know this is, it's not uncommon to hear someone talk about this, but it's not as common as you think, right? To tell people, hey, take a look at what you do well. Don't be dismissive of your positive qualities, the talents, the skill sets, the personality that you have, right? Actually take an honest appraisal of that as well, right? It's a vitally important thing to recognize the good things for many reasons. Now, commonly, and I think this is where we run into a little bit of a grind and a little bit of a problem. People will take a look at the good things about themselves for this, for the therapeutic aspect of it. Meaning, hey, look at all these good things that you've done. You're a good person because you've done good things. You know, or to build that self-esteem, to build a positive picture to combat your negative belief about yourself, right? So you're just going through and trying to find good things so you can feel justified and better about existing on this planet because you've got good things as well, right? Now, those I'm actually not a fan of. I don't believe that is a good reason to take an honest and full appraisal of yourself, is so you feel better about you. It just sounds, or it just turns out to be another arrogance and pride seeking behavior, right? I'm a good person. Look at what I do. I'm a good person. I've done this. I'm a good person. I do that. That is not what we're trying to do here. That is not why it's important to actually go and do this appraisal of your positive attributes and the things you are skilled and talented at. Because if you're only using them to satisfy your own selfish need of not hating yourself, you're just being selfish. And I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble, but this is not a good reason to actually go inventory the good in you. It's just not. Sometimes it helps with framing. I understand that. Sometimes it helps with humbling people because people think they're the worst person in the world. And it's like, no, you're not. Just so it gives them something to stand on. So, okay, maybe it's a good starting point, but it should not be the real main intention of why you do this. If you want to believe you're a good person, go be a good person. You don't have to sit here and catalog everything to prove to yourself every single day that you're a good person. Just begin to change your behavior and change your thinking and then change your belief structure. And guess what? You're just a good person then. You don't need to have this huge list that you're going through. You don't need to have all of these things that you want to be able to claim about yourself, right? There's no humility in that. None. Absolutely none. Right? And again, it leads to this sense of pride and potential arrogance by clinging to them and using them in that way, right? So this is why these positive inventories usually aren't associated with humility, because they've gotten a bad name. They've gotten a bad rap because people are taking an honest and full inventory to take a look at the good stuff that they've done to make sure they feel better about themselves. That's completely counterintuitive. That's completely contradictory to what humility actually is about. So, I do still believe, though, it is a crucial part of living to actually go through and take this inventory of the good in your life. And the reason we need to find the good in us, what we're good at, like I said, this talent, the skills, the personality, the demeanor, the effect we can have on people, is not to boost ourselves, but to be of service to others with our gifts, right? With our gifts. It says there, absolute love is not self-negation. It is using the best of ourselves for the best of other people. So we need to know what the best of ourselves is. We need to know what our gifts are, our talents, our skills, the things we can help people with, the things we're capable of, right? Not just the negative and hurtful and harmful things we're capable of, but the beautiful and positive gifts that we've been given to be able to enable people to grow and lift people up. We've been given gifts. We've been given opportunities to be of service to our communities, to our friends, and to our family, and to a God of our understanding. And I don't care if you believe in a Christian God or any other Abrahamic God or universe or society or wherever you are. You have a set of gifts that you have a responsibility to bring to the world, to offer to the world, to be of service to the world. So when you do this honest and true, humble appraisal of yourself, you will find both. You're not supposed to beat yourself up with the bad. You're supposed to learn from it, change and grow. And you're not supposed to just boost your ego and be prideful with the good, right? You're supposed to find these things. And then after you've done this honest appraisal, there is a responsibility afterwards with this information. You have a responsibility. This is in direct conflict with the I'm a nobody, right? I have no um, skills. I'm just a person, right? I'm nobody. No, you are an individual that has been blessed with gifts from a God of your understanding and a universe that has instilled them within you to be able to carry that forward. To say you are nobody is insulting, right? This responsibility that you have to work on the bad, to become aware of the things you do that harm, to become aware of the things you do that pull you away from the path of righteousness and Christ-like conduct, as they say, the path of goodness and love. You have a responsibility to work on those things that you need to work on. But you also have a responsibility to use the good things and the blessings that you have in your life to bring more goodness into this world, to bring, to be more of service to those around you, to be more of service of God. And people like to run from that responsibility or use their gifts for selfish reasons. That's why this is a fine line to walk. This is a big responsibility people have to take. All right? This is a huge responsibility people have to take on, and it's one to take very, very seriously too, I might add. And to be very aware of our own pride and ego and arrogance that can get attached to these things that we're trying to practice and bring this sense of positivity and love into the world. But that is what we must do, right? And when we do this, when we go and we bring the best of ourselves to be of service and to place ourselves in a position to help lift, to help construct, to help grow, to help bring goodness and love into this world, when we do that, as a side effect, we ourselves get lifted up. Now, this is not the goal. Let me say that again. This is not the goal. We do not do these things to selfishly lift ourselves up. We do not do them for a selfish motive. We do not do them because we think we're going to get rewarded for it. We do these things. We use our gifts and our blessings and our talents and our skills to be of service to God and others because it is the right thing to do. We do it without thought of ourselves. We do it without consideration for our reward or return, right? We do it for just being what we are supposed to be bringing into this world without the validation. We do it because it's the right thing to do, and that's where it ends. And if we do it that way, suddenly our lives will get better. We will be lifted up as well. The best in us is also the best for the world, right? So we bring out the best in ourselves to use for the world, and suddenly everyone gets better, right? That's what recovery is about, right? We get well, then everyone else starts to get well. What a beautiful thing that is. What a beautiful thing that is. And we get these indirect blessings that'll happen, right? We selfishly like to aim for them, but if we aim for them, we will miss them every time. And we will suffer because we're trying to take. That's not why we're here. We're here to give, not take. And now, I include this with humility, and people might not like this, but I feel like it's important to mention that if you do not humbly accept and take a look at the positive and good you have in your life or that you can bring to others' lives, that is just as prideful and arrogant as to ignore the bad. Right? To be dismissive and minimizing of the good you can do is still delusional. It's still dishonest. It is still absconding responsibility. Whether you're escaping responsibility for punishment, consequence of our actions, more so is a better way to say it, or you're escaping the responsibility to be of service, both are arrogant and prideful. And both need to be taken a look at. To not recognize the gifts given to you, it's shameful and irresponsible. So you have to accept the entire thing, the good and the bad. That is what an honest inventory will give you. That is what an honest appraisal will do for you. And then you have a responsibility with all of that information. So a lot of people do this. So I want to just talk about that for a little bit as well. All right. So I've done it many, many times. And what it looks like in a minor sense is if you cannot take a compliment, if you reject a compliment, if you redirect an acknowledgement of goodness or an accomplishment, right? Or you minimize recognition, or you avoid it completely when it's honestly and truly given to you for something that you've done, and people would like to share their joy or their appreciation for you, right? Do you dismiss that? Do you minimize that? So many do it today, and they don't realize that's actually pride. It is pride to actually not accept that humbly, to say thank you. It can actually be harmful to be rejecting of that. It's insulting to others. People want to show appreciation and gratitude for the impact you may have had on their life, and you're rejecting it. Now, it's important to be accepting of these things, not to boost your ego, not to be prideful, but in a moment of gratitude for yourself. Because if you have a belief and a heart in absolute love, you realize this recognition is heartfelt. And you realize the only reason you're receiving it is because you've been given blessing and gift from a God of your understanding and from a universe that's entrusted you with them. They are yours to hold right now, but they were given to you. So when you have these moments where people want to give to you, it is arrogant to reject them. Now, we don't need to seek it out, right? Don't seek out the validation. Don't seek out the appreciation, the commendations, and all of these things, right? Because that's a selfish motive. But you will come in times where you will be placed in a position where people just want to say thank you and recognize the things that you've been willing to take the actions in their life to have an effect, right? You can have all the gifts in the world, but if you don't have the willingness to actually practice and give those away and to be of service, nothing's going to be done. You are making a choice to follow the will of the God of your understanding in your life and use the gifts that have been presented to you to lift others up. And they want to say thank you for being willing to bring God's gift into this world. Let them. That is a part of humility. To receive acts of appreciation from others is to be of service to them. It lets them be grateful, like lets them to show gratitude. It lets them to practice humility themselves. Right? And in a true and honest acknowledgement of a God of your understanding and a gracious acceptance of the gifts that He's blessed you with to be able to be of service to others, it creates an amazing opportunity to practice absolute love for both of you. For both people. This is good, building good. But so many people push it away and reject it and don't want to be acknowledged and want to just hide in the background. And sometimes you need to let people love you. And that's really difficult for many. It's been difficult for me. been difficult for me. It's our responsibility to see and use the good in us to be of service and allow other people to do the same. Remember that. So now let's move on to the next line here. That was only like the first 4 lines, and we're 40 minutes into this thing. So that's why we could only do a paragraph. But the next part in the paragraph that I wanted to address was that many of us do not understand what fellowship means, or that looking for self motives in people's good actions is killing the good within ourselves. This is so incredibly important to today's society. This is, it was like it was written for just this moment, right? Which means we've been having the same problems for a long time. I always say that this book was beautifully written and is still 100% applicable today, right? But this concept of true fellowship has been lost. That love we were talking about for one another, that's been lost along the way. And it's been lost in a sea and of self-obsession, of ideology, of self-absorption, and just general self and self-centeredness and selfishness. We've lost what it means to be a community. We've lost what it means to be truly of service to other people, what it means to be truly altruistic. We've lost so much, especially now. People believe community is the same label. And that's such a limiting idea. The same demographic, the same thing, the same. It's none of that. It's none of that. People have lost the belief that genuine acts of service can't be done anymore, right? This belief that someone couldn't genuinely just do something good and kind without getting something from them, right? Like looking for these self motives is what this quote said, right? And I used to do that all the time. Everybody else was trying to get something out of me. No one would have a conversation with, in my mind, remember, this was my mind. No one would talk to me. No one would have a conversation with me. No one would do anything for me unless they wanted something from me. And if it wasn't from me, they were getting something else out of it, which was their selfish motive. I just might not know what it is. I might not have clarity as to what it is, but there's no way they were doing that just to help me. They were going to be as selfish as I was. They had to be, right? To most of the world, everything is now transactional. That's how I was, right? Everything is based around you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, all of that kind of stuff. And I understand that there's a certain part of business maybe in life that people feel like it's necessary to operate from there. But in our human to human relationships, this has got to stop. We need to be more loving and more kind and more genuine to people. And we need to stop projecting our own selfishness onto others, because that's what's going on. This is really just an act of projection. I am horrifically selfish. This is how I was. I was horrifically selfish and self-centered, and everything I did served a purpose to get me what I wanted, to get me a feeling I wanted, a substance I wanted, money that I wanted, a car that I wanted, whatever it was. Everything I did was selfishly and selfishly motivated. And I believed that was the only way people operated, and I had to believe that because that's the way I operated, right? So I saw everyone else being selfish in my life because I was horrifically selfish in my life, right? And I would confirm that with all these other people. And I would try to find their selfish motives, right? It said here, that looking for self motives in people's good action is killing the good within ourselves. And that was happening to me, right? I would have to find it in other people, because if for a second that I believed there was good in them, or that people could do things just to be good, my entire worldview would collapse, and all the justification that I used to get what I wanted to get and do what I wanted to do would be gone. All of it would be gone. So the more I searched for it in other people, the more it crushed my goodness, the more it crushed my unselfishness, the more it crushed my love within myself. And it was such a painful, painful thing to do daily, moment by moment, with everything that was going on. Was to crush that belief that I had anything good to offer. Was to crush that belief that I could be something other than selfish and self-centered. But I would do it every single day. Every single time I looked at someone else and tried to figure out their selfish motive, I was really just figuring out mine. It was a painful way to live. It was a horrifically painful way to live. To be kind to one another without expectation of return, for no selfish expectation. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't believe it was possible. And I believe many, I think, if not all, but at least many have forgotten how to be kind to each other, how to be genuinely loving to each other, how to be, what is a true fellowship. The selfishness has infected so much of our lives. It's robbed us of the opportunity to believe in goodness anymore. But thank God we can change that. At least that was my experience. And to be put on this altruistic plane that we can actually do that we can actually just genuinely do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, that altruistic plane of thinking and being of service and humility, those all come from absolute love, this absolute that we're talking about in this chapter. When you hold that here, that is the only way it is possible to be genuinely of service. That is the only way it's possible to be genuinely altruistic, to be genuinely kind and giving and loving towards other people, is to practice absolute love in your heart, to hold it in your soul, so it guides your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And we need to embrace that. Because if we don't, it talks about what happens here. Then the good proffered, which means offered, by the way. I think it means proactively offered. It's where the proffered word comes from. So when the good is proactively offered to them, loses its most potent asset. The good Christ gave without the thought of return or thanks. Because when we are selfish and we're constantly trying to get something out of somebody, be transactional, to be exactly what it is, right? That we want it to be and we need it to be, and we're trying to manipulate and control the situation, right? When we're doing that to other people, we're robbing ourselves of the experience of experiencing the love that is freely given by a God of our understanding, that's readily available to us if we would just be willing to take it, if we would just be willing to see it. But we don't. We take it. We destroy all the goodness. We take it out of it because we can't tolerate it. Because it doesn't align with my worldview. It can't be possible, I would tell myself. It can't be real, I would tell myself. We overlook the blessings of our higher power, of the universe, of Mother Nature, of everything around us, whatever you might be aligned with. We take away the blessings that have been given us, and the blessings and the skills and the talents other people are trying to offer us, because we accuse them of selfishness and self-centeredness. And that's how we protect ourselves. That's how we put space between that. And guess what? That type of thinking leads to nihilism, leads to despair, it leads to bitterness, it leads to misery. That's where it brought me. It brought me to a place where I didn't want to be here anymore. It brought me to a place I never thought I'd get to. And it was because of this, it's because of this absolute selfishness that I began to really began to just not want to be a part of the world anymore. That was years ago, thank God. But it was people's practicing of absolute love. And this is why it's important to embrace this and hold on to this, because this practice of absolute love, regardless of someone's ability to receive it, we need to constantly be making it available. We need to constantly be practicing it, because the more it's offered, the more it's given, guess what? The more of a chance someone has to actually see it. The more a chance somebody has to actually realize it can be different. And the opportunity for someone to see genuine goodness and love in this world and just experience it for just a moment can change a life. It changed mine. I remember when the first time I believed some people are good in my recovery. I'll have to maybe tell that story some other time. I realized that not everyone was as selfish as I was. And it was a revelation to me. And it was because people were bringing the best of themselves to help me find the best of me. They were doing exactly what this paragraph was talking about. And thank God they did. Thank God they did. Thank God everyone in my path has chosen to be who they are and try to be of service in whatever way they can. Because they've lifted me. They've helped build me. They've helped construct me. They've helped connect me to a spiritual practice and a spiritual way of life I didn't know was possible for a person like me. I was a person that actively rejected and denied it wasn't even real. I couldn't acknowledge it. But people practicing absolute love relentlessly gave me that opportunity and helped facilitate my change in my life. That's the power of absolute love. And that's the power of a fellowship. A true love for one another. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. So, there we have it. That is part 2 of Absolute Love. I don't know how many parts this is going to have. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to set a limit for myself. If we do one more paragraph next week, we'll just do one more paragraph next week. I would feel like it's warranted with this type of literature and these types of topics, because there's a certain respect you have to give to this information. This information has changed the lives of many, many people. This information is what birthed the 12-step programs. This is the type of stuff that echoes through all time. So this might be a 3-part, depending on how the next reading goes, or it might be 7. I don't know. I'm not going to rush it, but I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I do. This was a paragraph that really inspired some passion and inspired some recognition of my beliefs and and brought out some of my own experience to the forefront. That it was wonderful, a wonderful paragraph to really go through and review. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this, really. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. So thank you to everybody that subscribes, that likes, that shares, that follows, that hearts, whatever it is, wherever you're seeing this content and you're interacting with it. I just say thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.